Salt of the Earth Farm Stories. From generations-old family farms to innovative sustainable practices, each episode offers a glimpse into the resilience, passion and dedication of Australian farmers and explores the profound connection between people and the land.
They can't blame themselves for it, and that's where a lot of farmers run into that thing because they don't want to be the generation that failed their legacy. And then, if they do go off the farm, there's this whole thing around identity, like who they are as a person. And if they're not a farmer, then who are they?
We continue our powerful conversation with Leila McDougall. In this episode, Leila opens up about life on the farm in Western Victoria and the reality of the current drought, including the decision to move livestock north. She reflects on the need for farmers to take time away from the land and shares deeply personal stories from her family's own health challenges to a recent health scare of her own. Leila also discusses the incredible impact of the movie Just a Farmer, the film that's capturing attention across the globe, and how she's taking the mental health message to the world stage. We learn about the unique annual event she and her husband created, held right in the middle of a vibrant canola crop. Leila's strength, honesty and passion continues to inspire. She's truly remarkable. If you haven't yet, Just a Farmer is a must-watch. Visit justafarmermovie.com to learn more. So, after growing up in Walker, New South Wales, and now living on a farm in Western Victoria, I start by asking Leila, does this feel like home now?
Yep, it's home. And again, so lucky to live in the era that I do, where everything's so accessible. Like I can do a Zoom with someone on the other side of the world. Like I'm going to Sweden in September for the International Farmer Mental Health Conference.
Oh, wow.
and they're going to have the movie over there. But to think I can just have a Zoom with someone in Sweden and organise me going there, or Victoria is so good because I'm only 2.5 hours from Melbourne. When we were filming and everything, like I'd be in Melbourne once or twice a week. And again, having such a supportive husband that's like, off you go do your thing and come home. Like he sees that I need to have that outlet and that creative thing. And I think, going through the postnatal with the kids, he's seen how important it was for me to have that creative outlet. I can't be stuck at home on the farm and not having that outlet. And we're like, we trust each other. We're in such a solid relationship. And, sometimes he jokes because I've got all these, like my mentors and older men in my life that are, who I turn to for advice, and they've got my back and everything. And he jokes, he's like, oh, who's the middle-aged boyfriend you've got this week? Because I do, and I love them all. Like they're just so supportive, and the mentors and things, but he doesn't care. And he gets along with them all as well. But it's pretty funny. It's a little inside joke. Oh, look at Leila and all her middle-aged boyfriends. They joke because they're like, no, I think we were your old-age boyfriends.
An amazing, man. How's the current climate at your place at the moment? And, we're touching on perhaps a drought.
Yeah, they're saying it's probably the worst drought since the 70s that we've had in Victoria. And it's been happening for 12 months now. And it's getting to a point where it's pretty desperate with feed and trying to work out what's next. And decisions can be really hard, especially when you've got, like my husband's trying to make 100 decisions at once and what to do next. So we've got pretty much all of our cattle out on agistment at the moment, all the way up in Tamworth.
Yeah, good.
So 7 semi-loads of cattle are out on agistment, and that takes that pressure off. He's not having to feed them every day, but it's just not the feed, it's the water. We don't have the water for everything, so we've just got sheep left pretty much on the property and what we call my pet mob. Some of all the sick ones, or my dairy cow that I used to milk but don't have time anymore, or the potty calves and different things. So we've still got that little mob that the kids go and check every day.
Yeah, good.
They love it.
Nice. My partner will be proud of it.
Yeah.
She's an animal saver.
Yeah. I'm that woman that checks every dead kangaroo's pouch on the side of the road, hoping I get a pet kangaroo one day or a wallaby.
And this is a time for you to be checking on Sean and other farmers in the area too, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's lucky, footy started up again for the season, and that's my husband's outlet. He loves his sport and his footy. He's starting to get a bit frustrated with himself because he's not as fast and as...
Are you still playing?
Yeah, he's still playing.
Right.
Yeah, so it's his thing, and he said he'll keep playing while he can because he
Good.
loves it.
Yeah.
I was hoping I'd get a gap between him and the kids, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen that way. My son had his first game in the under-12s last
good.
week, so that was very
How'd he
cute.
go?
Yeah, he's a big gangle. He's all legs and arms. He loved it, and he wants to be a part of it, so that's good. I didn't think, there for a while, I think my husband thought, oh, he's never going to play footy, but he's starting to take an interest now. But yeah, that's his outlet, and I think, it's really important for them to get off farm. Like, if they've got to take time to get off and go and talk to other men, and as it's a very debatable area at the moment, like with all this masculinity talk and blah blah blah. But men need man time to be around men and do dumb man shit. I don't even know what it is, and they can do it. I don't care, but they just need that time to go and and footy seems to be that where they can let out that barbarian, I guess you could say, in them that needs to be let out sometimes, because men and women are different and we have different needs, and I think it's really important that male farmers, female farmers, whoever's a farmer, they do have that time off farm with people that they can connect with, whether it's through sport or art or walking or whatever they do. You just need that time off farm, and in this climate that's more important than ever.
I'm a strong believer exercise is key for these challenges they might be facing at the moment. Do you remember a drought as a kid at Walker, or did your dad go through any of those times?
So we had the drought in 06, 05, 06 and a bit of 07, and that's probably why my brother sort of went, nah, I don't think farming's for me, and went into building. You look back at some of the things as a kid and you're like, wow, this is my first drought as an adult, and you're like, wow, like the pressure that my parents would have been under then, and that's what we're under now. And we had much less resources as a family then. Like, we were feeding our sheep corn because that's all we could afford in that time. And my brother and I'd have to sit out on the road with the sheep on weekends or the cattle on weekends, which is something they don't really do in Victoria, is have all the cattle out on the roads and things. But
I just saw during the week, I was driving north of Albury, a couple of hours north of Albury, and within about 20 minutes, there were 4 different groups. I think one lot, there would have been a couple of hundred head of Angus, and there was good feed on the road. I think, why not? And there was the husband at the front and the wife at the tail. And I just thought, what are they thinking? Like, this is really tough times, and they've got all day to sit there and do nothing, but think and worry.
Yeah, and it is, and it's that time of just, you get so caught up in your own head and things swirl around and around, and then we over catastrophize things, or and at the end of the day, what is important, and it's your family. And that bit of land might have been in your family for generations and generations, but sometimes when families do have to sell off a bit of land or do something to survive, they can't blame themselves for it. And I know, and that's where a lot of farmers run into that thing, because they don't want to be the generation that failed their legacy. And then, if they do go off the farm, there's this whole thing around identity, like who they are as a person. And if they're not a farmer, then who are they?
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of men going into retirement or succession is such a big, like an ugly topic in farming, because it's so hard to move away from what you've done your whole life and let someone else take control. And when that happens, it's like, who are they as a person? And they lose their identity. And that's someone like who spoke at Mellow in the Yellow was Justin Kaczynski. He's a footy player and a farmer, and he spoke around identity, and he just was so good at relating his identity as a football player, but it's exactly what farmers go through when they lose their identity. It was just a fascinating talk, but it's really a tough one, and what goes through their heads at a time. And that's where I think like footy is really important, because when my husband runs out on that field, there's nothing else in his head except chasing that ball. He's not thinking about anything else. And it's kind of like, it gives his brain a break to just chase that little red ball thing around. And, when I started going, like, I was like, wow, that's horses for me. Like, when I'm on a horse, I'm not thinking about anything else except what's going on between me and that horse, because I've got to concentrate on that, because, it's got its own brain, and it might take off that way or this way, and I can't be on my phone or things. So it's finding that thing that takes you out of the world.
Yeah.
And for me, that's horses.
Yeah. And your dad had some struggles too when you were a teenager, did he? Is that right?
Yeah. So my dad is what they used to call chronic depression, was what he was diagnosed with back then. But now, since then things have changed and it's now been categorized as bipolar. He was a great example of how you can manage your mental health. He had his moments where he, would have bad days and good days. And my mum really struggles with anxiety. Like she gets social situations are not for her. She's, she gets really anxious about those things. And so we weren't a big socializing family. We sort of kept to ourselves a little bit. And then, my dad obviously realized at some point, when he was 35, that alcohol just was not a good mix for him and his mental health. And I think he looked back at his family, and when you look back at your family history and genetics, he was like, yeah, wow, I don't want to end up like my dad.
Yeah.
And my pop was what you'd call a functioning alcoholic. Like he was a solicitor, and he'd take his bookwork to the pub and do it at the pub. Like he just drank all the time.
Wow.
And then he died quite young for this day and age, when he was 70. And the last 5 or 6 years of his life he didn't drink. But had he done that much earlier, I think he would have been a much happier man. But I think he was probably an undiagnosed chronic depressant, and alcohol was his way of managing that. And I think my dad looked at that and went, nah, that's not for me. I don't want to be that person.
And your dad, he was good in the way he would talk about mental health?
Yeah. He'd always say to my brother and I that you need to look after your head. And, the language was so different back then to what it is now. But for him, it was your head. You got to look after your head because, if your head's not right, you're not going to be right. You're not going to be thinking straight. You've got to be thinking straight all the time. And for him, it was sport. Like if you get too tense or anxious or things, sport's a good outlet. It makes you tired. And that was his thing as well. And that's probably why we work so hard, my brother and I. Like, if you don't come home and you can't, if you're not moving and being active all the time, you're not going to be tired to want to go to sleep. Like, if you sit around the house all day doing nothing, well, of course you're not going to be tired. So, get out and do stuff so that when you get home, you're tired. And kids do that. Kids run around and they do stuff. And then when you get to an adult, you start to get lazier and do less and things. But as kids, like he was just, and mum as well, like they're, growing up in that era, make sure you're home by dark. Like we're so lucky, weren't we, to think we were so safe to just be like, yeah, make sure you're home by dark.
Do whatever you want, but be home by dark.
No idea where the hell we were. We'd be over at the common riding our bikes, could have broke my arm for all they knew. Just come home. Just make sure you get home. If you weren't home by dark, that's when the search party'd go out. Luckily, there was never a point where, the search party had to go out looking for us.
And tell me about your mum.
Yeah, so my mum, she probably struggled with anxiety and still does a little bit today. And we're getting better at talking about that with her now and different things. But yeah, she went through a little bit of a crisis when I just had my first child, Vincent.
Right.
So in 2015. And because I was struggling with my own mental health at that point, I didn't pick up on the signs of hers, and I still do feel guilty to this day that I didn't pick up on those things. But my mum attempted suicide in 2016. So Vincent was born in the October and it was the February, and we were home when it happened. And it was just sort of like, wow, okay, like I need to get better at talking to my family about mental health, and we need to get better at things. And because obviously there was things there that she hadn't talked about, and things are affecting her. But yeah, she's doing much better now, and she's able to talk about things. And yeah, no, it's much better now. But there for a while it was pretty hard, and and trying to find ways to talk to someone about things. And it was very, you don't know if what you're saying's right or not, or if what you're saying might trigger something. But yeah, I think she knows now. But I felt for her because you live in such a small community. Like within a day or two, everyone knew what had happened. And I think for her, the shame of what she'd done, like I think for people that we forget about the fact that, we're trying to stop people from taking their life, or, if they do, supporting their family. But we forget about, the fact that like the statistics, so 11 people a day take their life in Australia. Of that 11, 9 of them are men. But we forget about the attempts.
Yeah.
So they say there's something like 40 people a day attempt
my
to take
God.
their life. And of those people that survive their attempt, what support's in place for them? Because it's
Yeah.
not just the fact that they may be suffering from a mental health condition or they're going through something in their life or whatever it is, but now they've got this extra layer of shame that people are looking at them going, oh my God, they tried to do that. Like, well, so I really felt for Mum in that aspect because everyone in the community knew. And to hold her head high and go back into the community would have been really hard. And she works in aged care and she's so good at her job. You know, she really like she goes above and beyond for these people that she works for, and she kind of becomes their family because a lot of them don't have anyone, and she loves her job and she's really good at it. But yeah, it would have been really hard to go back into the community and be like, I'm okay now. Like, don't judge me for what happened. I went through something tough, but you know, I'm okay now.
It's probably highlighted more in a country area than a metropolitan area, isn't it?
Yeah, because you think when I stay in Melbourne and I stay in an apartment block or something, I think there is literally someone through that wall, and if I lived here, the chances of me actually knowing who lived next
That's
door to me,
right.
like I don't think they know each other, a lot of them. But you know, you're in a country town, and they say for every person that takes their life, 40 people are impacted, like the ripple effect.
Yeah.
But in country communities, it's hundreds.
Yeah.
You know, everyone feels it.
Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear that about your mum. And you said before you should have been looking out for signs. What sort of signs?
I don't know, and that's it. We've just got to be much better at picking up on things that we see. So, you know, she was probably acting a little bit different. She was probably more stressed than she normally would have been. She did lose a lot of weight. But I just put that down to the fact that she was just being healthier and walking more and, you know, not eating as much chocolate or, you know, and but yeah, there were little things I could have picked up on, but that's the other thing as well. We need to remind people that, you know, if they do lose someone to suicide, you can't blame yourself. Like, it's a choice they made, they lost themselves, and we can't feel guilty for what's happened. So yeah, and that's something I've got to come to terms with, the fact as well that, you know, even though I feel guilty, it wasn't my fault. Yeah.
And two, from an outsider, like your mum sounds like a beautiful, kind-hearted, caring person looking after aged care.
Yeah.
You know, she's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But really, we don't know what's going on in the background.
Yeah, like to think, you know, she's been a palliative, like, you know, she's helped some of Walker's, you know, people that know them and they've got cancer or they're really ill, and she's been like basically their palliative care person through it, and she's been tough. I don't know how I get too attached to all these people. Like,
Yeah.
no way. So it's like, how do you do this? Like, you just, you know, you're looking after old people. Like, it sounds horrible, but they're going to die.
Yeah.
And you're giving these people so much love and care. Like, you know, she, on weekends when they've got appointments and like it's out of her hours, she'll just drive them to their appointments and stuff. But
Beautiful.
she loves doing it, so you know, who cares? But yeah, to think, yeah, she's that tough to deal with that, and then you think she should be tough enough to do that. But yeah, you just never know what's going on behind someone's doors, behind their eyes, do you? Yeah.
No, exactly. And yourself and Sean started Mellow in the Yellow.
Yeah.
And so far you've raised over $60,000, is that right?
Yeah, so this is our 10th, this will be the 10th year of Mellow in the Yellow. So it's a little non-for-profit that we started, Live Rural, in our little community, and it's for raising money for our community to support mental health. And all the money we raise goes back into our local community because, you know, you sometimes hear that like bigger charities, where does the money go? So it was really important for us that the money that gets raised goes back to our community.
Good.
And sometimes it's really hard to find ways to put that money back into the community in a way that's really going to tangibly help your community as well. So it's always then coming up with things that, you know, what is going to really help our community. And at the moment, you know, with everything that's going on, we're like, oh, how are we going to do it? But yeah, that all came around because the charities, because we both, my husband lost his uncle to suicide, and there's other things around his circumstances and what happened to him in his life, but it's something that, you know, really touched my husband. And yeah, so we thought, you know, we really want to help the community and blow up this conversation about mental health. And it's amazing, like we started that in 2014, And it was like, then it was a taboo kind of topic. Like, I remember people going to people saying, oh, we're going to do this event and I want it to be about mental health and raising awareness for mental health. And they're like, oh, geez, that's a bit morbid, isn't it? Like, what? No one's going to come to an event about mental health. So we had to be really clever about the way we ran the event. And it started off as just being supporting farmer health and rural mental health. And
That was
then
the way you worded it.
Yeah, and then our first guest speaker was Sue Brumby, who was the CEO of the National Centre for Farmer Health.
Yeah.
And she came and she spoke, and she was so clever she talked about sun safety on the farm and covering up and all those sort of things, but then checking your skin and checking in on your skin, and then just subtly added in that layer of, then you've also got to check in with your mental health. And she's really clever, and I guess she's worked in that space for a long time, and over the years it's just progressed and progressed, and now it's just full-blown mental health. But it's great to see the conversation move so far from 2014 to now.
Good on you. Can you set the scene a little bit? It's in the middle of a canola crop.
So when we were first making the event, we're like, well, how are we going to make it a bit different? Like, and so there's this event I think it's in the Mallee, the barley banquet anyway. And we thought, that's a brilliant concept. So I was like, what's something that we grow around here that can be different? And Sean was like, well, canola. And I was like, oh, and like yellow, it's so funny. Yellow's been my colour since I was like, my bridle and my horses and my saddlecloth and boots were yellow. Like everywhere I go, there's yellow. Like I've got a yellow wall in my house. Yellow is my colour. So
you look out the window now, there's probably yellow everywhere in spring.
Yeah. So when it was like mellow, it's like, what are we going to call it? Because it had to have a catchy name. And I was like, mellow in the yellow. This is going to be brilliant.
I like it.
Yeah, so it's in the middle of a canola crop when it's in flower. When I first went, like my husband and I was like, you're going to let me plant a lawn in the middle of your canola crop? So there's a bit of planning around it. You've got to plot where it's going to be, and it's a big secret where it is. Like no one's allowed to know where it is, and everyone gets bussed to and from the event. So it's a surprise location. But yeah, everyone was like, you're going to let her plant a lawn in the middle of your canola crop? You're going to be chasing ryegrass for years. And and it's beautiful. We have a band for the day, a local band, and local food, wine, and we have the guest speaker. And it's just like, when you're surrounded by yellow and flowers, like how can you possibly be sad? It's just a big fun day, and it's a day event. So it's from 12 until 6 in the afternoon, or 12:30 till 6:30, because the biggest thing was, as soon as that sun's gone, people get feral, and I'm not dealing with them. So and then having the buses there, like busing to and everyone from, everyone's got to be on that bus at 6:30 because I'm not dealing with anyone else. It's so funny because it's so hard to get people out because they're having such a good time. They're all dancing. So one year my husband he took the batteries out, the cattle prodder, and he's like chasing around. And so now it's a funny thing. But last year it was really funny. Parso, who's a local musician, he was there, and we're trying to get people out, and he was like the Pied Piper. He started playing his guitar, singing, and everyone just started following him and followed him out and onto the bus. And I was like, that is brilliant.
Oh my God, love it.
We didn't need, because normally we've got security pushing everyone out, and I was like, these people have no idea what's going on. They're like literally following the Pied Piper.
Wow.
So it was really good. But yeah, it's a good week.
So you have buses come in, there's guest speakers, there's entertainment, there's food, there's drinks, there's party, but most importantly, they talk.
Yeah, and setting that mood in a positive environment. So the guest speaker comes, and they normally speak in the first sort of hour of the event.
Yeah.
And it opens up that permission for other people to then talk about it. Like one year we had Sally Jones, and she's an incredible woman. I'm good friends with Sal now, but she lost her dad to suicide, and she's also got Gippsland Jersey, and she makes ice cream. And the year she came and spoke, we'd also had a suicide in the community of a young boy. He was actually our neighbour's son. And so it was a very topical conversation, and the conversations, because she was so raw in her story and beautiful, and she's a beautiful human, but the conversations that you could feel people having around the event were so beautiful. So it sort of gives people that permission to just start opening up a little bit during the day and sharing their story. And there's a big debate at the moment with, pairing alcohol and mental events together, but some people can handle their alcohol and some people can't, and it's up to that person who can't handle their alcohol to take responsibility for themselves. So I'm one of those people. I'm not good on alcohol. I don't drink anymore. I haven't had a drink for 7 years, because I know if I have more than one or two, I'm a sad sack for nearly like 3 days afterwards. And normally if someone like binge drinks, they pass out. I'm the opposite. I'll be awake for 3 days. So I've worked out drinking's not for me, and it's my responsibility. But in this environment, if someone has 1 or 2 beers and it gives them the relaxed ability to talk about how they feel, then that's okay. But what we don't encourage at the event is excessive drinking. So if, sometimes we're like, we need to have like a few cattle or sheep panels, and we have the sin bin, and if you've drank too much, you've got to go stand in there until you sober up a bit. But luckily, like, everyone respects the event and the day, and that doesn't happen. And it's all you can eat and drink, but it's a crowd that respects the message. So because sometimes we do think, are we going to get labeled as this event, we're partnering mental health with alcohol, but we just need to be more responsible with our alcohol, and have alternative drinks available for people that don't like drinking or don't drink. And I'm one of those people, and I run the event. But again, like, my husband and I, we're not the type for us, it's always been, we're not creating an event for us to enjoy. We're there to run the event. So we run round rampant all day. Like, people are like, oh, come and enjoy it. I'm like, no, like, I need a job. And that's sort of like, if I go to the footy club to help, I go straight into the kitchen to find something to do, because I can't just sit and socialise. I need a job. So that's just the sort of people we are.
Amazing. And at some point, you entered and won Mrs. Australia.
Oh yeah, geez, that was a hoot. That was so funny. So yeah, I've got this girlfriend, Laurie Rose, and she actually runs pageants, and like, she's a beautiful friend. And we just started the charity, and I was like, how am I going to get more publicity for what we're doing? And she's like, oh, well, you can do these pageants, and it gives you a platform to talk about your message. And I was like, you really think I could do it? And she's like, why not? So I had a crack at it. And I think it was the passion behind what I was there. Like, I didn't enter it and then go, oh, now I've got to find a charity that I want to talk about. Like, I was there. I was using the platform to actually, because like, it got me places I never thought I would have got to talk about farming. And and then it was something that a lot of the audiences that we were talking to had never heard someone speak about before, let alone a woman. Like, they all just, there's this stereotype of what a farmer is, wear one tooth overalls and they're in their 80s, and here they only like, you're a farmer? I'm like, yeah, I'm a farmer. Yeah. So it was a hoot. And then when I won, that was even, funnier, because I was pregnant with my daughter at the time. Really? Yeah. So I had to hide that I was pregnant. Yeah.
So you already had a son?
Yeah. Yep. I'd already.
Good on you.
Yeah. I was pregnant with Vivian. Yeah.
Wow.
And and then I had to go, I went to America, and that was...
Did you really?
Yeah, and it was so fun. I met some amazing women. I'm still in touch with them all now, like, from all over the world. It was, like, there's this stereotype around, pageants and them being dumb people and, bitchy and blah, blah. Not like that at all. These women were so beautiful. They're all there for their mission and what they're trying to achieve. And for some of the women, some of the countries they'd come from, it was sort of their way of getting out. Like, they used to typically be about looks and beauty, and like, there's no bikini section in it at all. Like, I'm a Mrs. And even the Miss Teen that was in the Miss Teen Australia, Brianna, she was just a hoot. She was from Newcastle. Her mum is one, like, so we went over together, and her mum is probably one of my favorite people in the world. And yeah, so she lost her husband to bowel cancer and raised her 2 daughters on her own, but she's a hoot. She's one of, like, she's salt of the earth kind of woman. Runs the local surf club in Newcastle, and just a real hoot. So yeah, met some amazing people, and still in touch with them all now. I didn't win in America because I'm clearly I'm not as refined as you need to be, but hair, Oh my God, the amount of hair extensions they had in my
Really?
hair. I felt like a mermaid. Like I had all this hair. And the girls got like, they'd be like, how do you do it? So I had to get up at 4 a.m. every morning to get my hair and makeup done. And I love my sleep. Like I need sleep or I'm an angry person. And I was able to go back to bed and just have another bit of a sleep. And they were like, how do you not wreck your hair and makeup? And I'm like, I've just got this, I've just got it all sorted. I've worked out how to do it. But it
So-
was so fun.
So you didn't really care about being on stage or the ribbon or the sash that you were wearing. It was about the messages you had the
Yeah,
chance to
yeah,
give.
and like the wearing the sash and the thing, that was probably the embarrassing part. Like I didn't like wearing it. Like if I could get away with not having that on, I would. Because it was just like I feel like a wanker with this thing on. I'm like, ooh, I got a sash and a crown. Like I'd try and get out of wearing that, and then they'd be like, you have to put it on, and I'm like, oh, why? But it gave me an extra platform that I never would have had to get the message out there and talk and be someone different talking about it as well. Because it's constantly, sometimes we see the same kinds of people talking about the same issues, and sometimes it takes someone a little bit different to raise an issue and they go, oh, this person's talking about it, or this, so yeah, it was good fun. And again, learnt a lot. Uh, learn a lot about public speaking and being comfortable speaking about your message. And yeah, it was just a beautiful experience. Like sometimes, yeah, like some people are like, oh, how'd you go? The bitch here. No, it wasn't. It was a beautiful experience. And it was, yeah, everyone was willing to help one another. It was so fun.
Amazing. All right, and let's introduce your two children.
Yes.
We've got Vincent and Vivian, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, my little V team. Yeah.
Your V team. Any farmers in the V team?
Definitely think Vincent is a farmer. This kid lives, breathes, and him has made me realize, yeah, crap, farming is in their DNA. Like it is there in their genetics. You're born a farmer, and this kid is. Yeah, I don't want to put any pressure on him. It feels bad, but he just loves it. Like he gets home from school and he's got to go find dad. What's he doing?
Watches him like a hawk on the tractor.
Yeah, and the things he knows and he's picked up, and like I say something and he corrects me. Like he already knows more than me about the farm. And yeah, my daughter loves it too, and she'll go and help and things. But then I guess she's only 7 as well. But yeah, she sort of then gets a bit sick of it, and off she comes back. But yeah, she loves it too. But like if my son's not out helping, he's got his toy farm in his bedroom and he's in there playing, and "Oh, I need a new tractor, mum." I'm like, no, you're not going to be good as an adult. We are not buying bulk tractors. I've even just bought him a little jumper that says you can never have too many tractors.
Are we green? Are we John Deere or are we
Class?
Right.
Class
Okay.
tractors. Yeah, so hence he loves Jeremy Clarkson and Clarkson's
there you
farm.
go.
He's obsessed. He loves it.
Now, not long after your two kids were born, you had a health scare.
Yeah, so I missed my pap smear between the kids. And in hindsight, it's probably a good thing because I may not have Vivian. But yeah, missed my pap smear and just felt something wasn't right. Like I had no symptoms, nothing. I just had this weird gut feeling that I need to go and get my pap smear done. Like something's it just doesn't feel right. And the age I am, they weren't concerned about anything, but I hadn't had a pap smear for a while, so they did it. And yeah, the results came back that I had the cells and the D, or like, God, it's all so complicated. The things that came back and said I needed to go and get a further checkup. And then when I went, the cancer cell development was at stage 4. And they were like, oh my God, like how does someone your age have such advanced like cancer cell development? And yeah, I was just very lucky it was picked up when it was. The doctor,
stage 4, that's serious.
yeah, well, it was not, I didn't need chemo or anything like that, but the cell development in my cervix. So I was just very lucky, like probably one of the best gynecologists in the state, in Ballarat. And it was just I was so scared. I remember getting the result, and the first thing I thought was, shit, if I die, my kids are so young, they're not going to remember me. Like, it wasn't the fact I was going to die, it's just that it kind of sounds selfish, but I'm like, they're not going to remember who I was.
But you went through these thoughts.
Yeah, and these thoughts that you have. So I just remember, and then going to the gynecologist and him saying to me, like, you're very lucky we've got it at this stage. He's like, I actually think that in, 4 months' time, it could have been, palliative. He would have, yeah. But he said and I just remember him saying it so clearly, like, but you're going to be very safe in my hands. And I felt so reassured by that. Like, I actually, like, you look up on his wall and he'd been a gynecologist longer than I've been alive. So I was like, I felt very safe, but it was a very, and then that was the other thing that I just didn't really want anyone to know about it. Like, it wasn't something, like, I knew I wasn't, it was really scary, but once we'd gone through everything and I knew I wasn't going to really die, it was just something didn't want it to be a widely known fact. When I was going, well, it sounds stupid, but I was just like, if people come and visit me, I want them to come visit me because they're my friend, not because they think I'm dying, and to sympathize with me. Like, I'm not that kind of person. And I had my friends and the people I loved around me. I didn't need anyone coming in. Like, I'm a very, like, I'm an introvert disguised as an extrovert, I think. Like, I seem like I'm a big extrovert, but I'm not. I'm actually an introvert. I love my own company. I love being in my own house, in my own comfort zone. Like, sometimes I'm just like, I can't do people, and that's it. But when I do people, I probably feel like I'm over the top. So yeah, I just didn't want it to be something. So I only told my best friend, my parents, my nan, my brother, Sean's parents, and that was it. Like, I didn't want anyone else to really know. And then that's when, we had a backpacker come and stay with me that, like, kind of helped me a fair bit, because it was just like, the mental health of it and the kids and managing everything. And, I just was always very fatigued for a while after the surgery. And then just ended up, my backpack ended up being my best friend. I cried. I was like, I don't want you to leave. You can't leave me. Oh.
What country were they from?
She was from Malta, Christina. She now lives in Broken Hill, so she has not left Australia. She loves it here. How could you not love Australia, though? Yeah, it was a scary time in my life, and I think that's where I kind of also then thought, like, I've had a fair crack at life. Like, don't get me wrong, but yeah, we really only do have one shot at it, and that's it. And, like, all those weird thoughts go around in your head, like, wow, once you're gone, that's it, forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And you start, like, really thinking about it. Like, I was listening to a Jim Carrey thing the other day when they had that missile scare, and there was a country that was going to be hit by missiles and they're all going to die or whatever it was. And he was in that country when it happened, and they had like 10 minutes, and he's like, in their heads, that was real.
Yeah.
And he talks about that experience and how, they were 2 minutes before, they thought they were all going to die. And he found this place of peace and gratitude. And he said it just changed his whole life.
So looking back at what he's achieved?
Yeah, and the people he has in his life, and how lucky he was, and he was able to find a real place of gratitude for everything, rather than looking back and being like, oh, this person or that, or I wish this had happened. He's like, I actually found a place of real gratitude, and it gave him drive to move forward and be a better person and do better things for the world and contribute. So I think that's kind of like what it was. It was like, okay, I've got one crack. How am I going to make the biggest impact I can make with what I have, and leave a positive, thumbprint on the world? Because like, I want to leave a legacy for my kids to look back at. I want to, and again, having kids and being on the farm, I don't want to see my kids get, like, when they're older, and mental health be something they can't talk about, because genetically there's a high possibility that they're going to have mental health issues and problems that they're going to have to learn to deal with down the track. So how can I help create an environment in a world where they can talk openly, get help, know that mum and dad are always here to come home to? And sometimes the farm's not the most important thing, and that's instilled in a lot of farmers, that the farm comes first. No, it doesn't. Your family and your mental health does. So that's why I was like, okay, how am I going to create a world where my kids are going to thrive in it? Yeah, so that's sort of, that's what came out of that. Like, it was a scary experience, and my health sort of wasn't great, but from every trauma or everything we go through, I think we've got to all start to look at, okay, but what did we learn about ourselves from it, and how can we be a better person from it? Yeah.
I'm learning so much about me right now, actually, Leila. So thank you. So you got the all clear.
Yeah.
And is there a message now to our listeners that you would like to get out about cervical cancer and the checks you should be taking?
Just go and get your pap smear. Like there's you don't have to get them as often now because the technology is so much better. I think it's every 5 years now, but I go and get checkups much more regularly because of the history and my likelihood of maybe it developing again. But yeah, go and get your pap smears. It might be uncomfortable. You can do at home tests, and in the mail and things. So if you're not comfortable going to a doctor and having it done, you can do it at home now, which is really good because it can feel quite invasive for a lot of women to have a pap smear, because it's not as men don't have to go through it, but if you had to go and sit with your wife and see what happens in a pap smear, it can be quite invasive and it can hurt a little bit too. So but it's definitely worth the little bit of pain and discomfort to because it is the mortality rate of if it gets too far is it's not good. So definitely go and get your pap smears and keep on top of it.
Leila's story is one of resilience, love for the land and rural communities, and an unshakable drive to make a difference. Her honesty, passion and strength leave a lasting impression, and there's still more to come. In Part C, we go behind the scenes of Just a Farmer, from the spark of an idea to the challenges of making a full-scale film on their working farm. You won't want to miss how Leila turned vision into reality, and it's full bore. Join us next week. And we'd love it if you could follow us on social media. Search Salt of the Earth Farm Stories.